The deal is off.
You can't do this!
Please, let's talk. There's nothing to discuss. Get out.
Wait, we can fix this.
This is a mistake. Leave now.
What? This can't be real!
Oh my God, what have we done? You thought you could betray me? I own this company, and that jet is mine.
She walked into the lawyer's office with nothing but a calm smile and a pen in her hand. Across the table, her husband leaned back with his mistress beside him, both laughing as if they had already won. To them, she was just the quiet wife he was finally getting rid of. They mocked her clothes, her silence, and the fact that she didn't fight for the mansion, the cars, or the money. Then he signed the divorce papers with a smirk, believing he had destroyed her life. But what he didn't know was that the private jet he bragged about flying on belonged to her. The company where he and his mistress proudly worked also belonged to her. Every promotion, every luxury trip, every paycheck they depended on had come from the woman they treated like a nobody. When the mistress discovered the truth, her reaction shocked everyone in the room. But what the ex-husband did next was even more unbelievable. He thought the divorce was the end of her story, but it was only the beginning of a revenge he never saw coming. Maya Ellison did not look at Grant Whitmore when the final page slid toward her. She looked at the gold watch on her wrist, the one her father, Nathaniel Ellison, wore when he bought his first hangar outside Atlanta. Real money whispers, baby girl. Grant thought the watch was old-fashioned. Sloane Beckett, his mistress, thought Maya's plain navy dress meant poverty. Their friends, Harper and Tessa, sat by the window, filming behind designer purses. "Don't worry, Maya," Sloane said. "You'll get used to starting over." Grant laughed, not a warm laugh, a victory laugh. Maya signed her name once, then again, smooth, careful, no shaking. No drama, no speech. Mr. Caldwell, the attorney, cleared his throat. "The agreement is final once filed. Mrs. Whitmore has waived claim to the residence, the vehicles, and the public investment accounts." "Generous," Grant said, "or foolish?" "Difference," Maya said softly. Everyone turned. She lifted her eyes. "There's a difference." Sloane smirked. "Between what?" "Between what people see and what they understand." Silence. For half a second, Grant's smile slipped, then pride put it back. He had built his new life on appearances. The corner office at Ellison Crown Aviation, the badge, the private jet he called Company Access, as if the company admired his brilliance. He never asked why the board approved his trips. Greedy people rarely question comfort, they just sit in it. Maya stood. "Congratulations, Grant." "That's it?" he asked. "No begging?" "No. No tears." "Not for an ending. I already survived." Sloane leaned closer to him. "Some women don't know how to keep a man." Maya looked at her, not angry, watching. "You're right," Maya said. "Some women don't." Then she left before anyone could invent another insult. Her heels clicked down the marble hall. Behind the frosted glass, laughter rose again. They thought silence was surrender. They were wrong. Outside, Atlanta shimmered. Maya passed Grant's black sports car and walked to a plain silver pickup at the curb. Her cousin Andre Hayes sat behind the wheel, jaw tight. "You let them laugh?" he asked. "I let them talk." "Same thing." "No, talking reveals, laughing records motive." Andre looked toward the building. "Calvin called. He said the file from your father's safe matches what you suspected." Maya's fingers tightened around the watch. Uncle Calvin had been her father's oldest friend, the secret keeper behind every quiet deal Nathaniel Ellison ever made. If Calvin was right, Grant's betrayal was not only personal, it was connected. Connected to Sloane. Connected to the rival investors circling Ellison Crown. Maybe even connected to the night Nathaniel died in a hotel suite, one day before he planned to remove Grant from the executive program. Pain teaches in layers, first the wound, then the pattern. Maya stared at the building where her marriage had just been buried. She had loved Grant once, before ambition made him cruel, before Sloane taught him how to perform power he never earned. Where to? Andre asked. The airport. The South Gate. No, Maya said, the private terminal. His eyebrow rose. Grant believed those papers had stripped her down to nothing, but every clause had been prepared by loyal attorneys. Every asset he took was visible, taxable, and already separated from the aviation holdings and voting shares he never knew existed. The divorce papers were not surrender. Protection. At the private terminal, the Ellison Crown jet waited under the sun, white and silver, quiet as a secret. Captain Brooks greeted her with a respectful nod. Ms. Ellison, your jet is fueled. Andre smiled for the first time all day. Maya touched her father's watch. Good, she said. Now let's find out who else has been flying on it. The private terminal did not feel like the lawyer's office. No perfume-heavy laughter, no clicking phone cameras, no Sloane Beckett tilting her chin like she had purchased the sun. Here, everything moved with purpose. Pilots checked logs, mechanics crossed the hangar floor with tablets, dispatchers spoke in low voices behind glass walls. Quiet money. Disciplined money. Maya stood beneath the wing of the Ellison Crown jet and remembered her father's voice. People who need to look rich are usually renting the costume. Nathaniel Ellison had built his aviation company after 30 years of being underestimated. First, they called him a baggage handler, then a lucky contractor, then a vendor. By the time they realized he owned half the airport services they used, he had already bought the land under their arrogance. Real money whispers. Grant had never understood that. He loved volume. He loved the look of wealth more than the responsibility of it. He loved being seen walking across the tarmac in sunglasses, stepping onto a jet he called his usual ride. His usual ride. Maya almost smiled. Captain Brooks handed her a folder, flight manifests for the past 18 months. Only the official ones. And the corrected ones your father had me keep separately. Maya looked up. Captain Brooks did not blink. Mr. Ellison was careful. Careful, not paranoid. Difference. Maya opened the folder. Grant's name appeared again and again. Atlanta to Miami, Miami to Los Angeles, Atlanta to Dallas, Dallas to Nassau. Besides several trips was Sloane's name, listed not as an employee, but as executive guest. Executive guest. Maya turned a page. There it was. 1 week before Nathaniel died, Grant had taken the jet to Chicago with Sloane and a man named Victor Hale. Victor Hale. The name felt cold in her hand. Andre leaned over her shoulder. That's the investor trying to buy into Ellison Crown. Not trying, Maya said, circling. Victor Hale owned Pinnacle Aero Group, a loud-money aviation firm with flashy ads, celebrity clients, and rumors behind every expansion. He had wanted Ellison Crown for years. Nathaniel refused him every time. Not interested in selling legacy to a man who eats what he can't build. That was what her father had said at Thanksgiving. Maya flipped through the folder slowly. No panic, no shaking. Anger had risen in her chest, but she pressed it into focus. Anger without discipline becomes evidence against you. Her phone buzzed. A message from Sloane. Enjoy your little pickup truck ride, Maya. Grant says I can decorate the lake house now. Hope you find a studio apartment with good lighting. Maya stared at the message. Andre saw it and cursed under his breath. Let me reply. No. You sure? Sloane performs for reaction. Don't feed performers. Maya slipped the phone into her purse. Across town, Grant and Sloane were already celebrating at the lake house. Maya knew because Harper had posted a video 20 minutes ago. Champagne, music, Grant lifting a glass and saying, "Freedom looks expensive." Everyone laughed. Mockery turns people careless. At the terminal office, Calvin Rowe waited beside a conference table. Silver beard, dark suit, eyes that had seen too much and said too little. Maya, he said, standing. Uncle Calvin. He hugged her, gentle but firm. I'm sorry about today. Don't be. Today gave them confidence. And confidence makes fools talk. Exactly. Calvin placed a leather envelope on the table. Your father gave me this 3 days before he passed, told me not to open it unless Grant pushed for divorce or Victor Hale made a second approach. Maya's breath tightened. And both happened, Calvin said. Inside the envelope was a letter in Nathaniel's handwriting. Baby girl, if you are reading this, then someone close has mistaken your kindness for access. Do not argue with snakes about venom. Study where they entered the garden. Maya swallowed hard. The room blurred for one moment, just one. Calm outside, pain inside. She read on. Grant has been speaking with someone he should not trust. I do not yet know whether he is greedy, frightened, or compromised. Maybe all three. I intended to confront him after the board review. If I did not get the chance, follow the money through the aircraft logs, consultant invoices, and executive training accounts. Maya lowered the letter. Consultant invoices, she said. Calvin nodded, already pulled. He slid another stack across the table. Sloane Beckett's name appeared under marketing strategy, but payments had been routed through a shell company tied to Victor Hale. Not Mistress, I said. Not romance, access. Maya sat very still. Andre paced behind her, so Sloane was planted. Maybe, Calvin said, or paid after she got close. Pride makes a person easy to recruit. Maya thought of Sloane laughing in the lawyer's office, touching Grant's arm like he was a trophy she had earned. Vanity is a leash when the wrong person holds it. What about Grant? Maya asked. Calvin's face hardened. That part is worse. He opened a tablet and showed her a draft proposal. Grant had promised Victor Hale internal expansion data, client routes, pilot contract numbers, and acquisition weaknesses. In return, Grant expected a senior executive position after Victor forced a merger. Maya stared at the screen. The man who mocked her plain dress had tried to sell her father's company out from under her. Her marriage had ended in a lawyer's office. But the betrayal had begun in boardrooms. And does Grant know I own controlling shares? She asked. Calvin shook his head. No, your father kept your ownership shielded through the trust. Grant believes the board controls the company. Good. Andre stopped packing. Good. Maya stood and walked to the window overlooking the jet. Grant thought the divorce made him free. Sloane thought humiliation made her powerful. Victor thought grief made Maya distracted. They thought wrong. Do nothing yet, Maya said. Andre frowned. Nothing. Nothing loud. Calvin's eyes warmed with recognition. Nathaniel's daughter, same patience, same steel. Maya turned from the glass. Let Grant come to work tomorrow, she said. Let Sloane come smiling. Let Victor think his door is opening. And then, Andre asked. Maya touched her father's watch. Then we let them discover who signs the checks. Grant Whitmore arrived at Ellison Crown Aviation the next morning wearing a navy suit, polished shoes, and the kind of smile men use when they believe the world has finally admitted they are special. He stepped through the glass entrance like he owned the building. He did not. Sloane Beckett walked beside him in a cream blazer and red heels, sunglasses still on though they were indoors. She carried herself like a woman who had won a prize. She had not. At the reception desk, two assistants looked up, then looked back down quickly. They had all seen Harper's video from the lake house. The champagne, the jokes, the part where Grant toasted to upgrading from quiet misery to luxury. People heard more than the proud realized. Sloane leaned against the desk. Morning, Ava, tell marketing I'll be late to the campaign meeting. Grant and I have executive business. Ava's smile was professional, not friendly, difference. Of course, Ms. Beckett. Grant adjusted his cufflinks. Also, check if the Gulfstream is available this weekend, Miami. Ava paused. The aircraft schedule is restricted today. Grant frowned. Restricted by who? Executive office. I am executive office. Ava did not answer. Sloane laughed softly. Maybe Maya's pickup truck is blocking the runway. Grant smirked. Don't say her name too loud. She might come ask for gas money. Behind them, the lobby went quiet. Not silent. Quiet. There is a difference between absence of noise and presence of warning. Grant turned. Maya Ellison stood near the elevator in a black tailored suit, her father's watch on her wrist, her hair pinned low and neat. Beside her stood Calvin Rowe, chief legal counsel. Andre Hayes stood a few steps behind them, holding a leather folder. Sloane's smile sharpened. Well, look who found the corporate entrance. Grant chuckled. Maya, this is a workplace. Divorce emotions should stay outside. Maya looked at him calmly. I agree. That bothered him. Her calm always bothered him. He wanted tears because tears would make him feel powerful. He wanted anger because anger would make her look unstable. But she gave him nothing. No drama, no speech. Just a look. Conference room, Maya said. Grant blinked. Excuse me. Conference room B now. Sloane took off her sunglasses slowly. And who exactly are you giving orders to? Calvin stepped forward. Employees. One word. Heavy as a door closing. Grant laughed, but it came out wrong. Calvin, I know you've been close to the family, but don't embarrass yourself. Maya isn't on the executive team. No, Calvin said, she's above it. The lobby stopped, pretending not to listen. Sloane's face changed first, not fear, confusion, then irritation. Maya walked past them toward the hallway. You can follow me, or security can escort you. Grant's jaw tightened. Pride wanted him to refuse. Greed made him follow. Greed always calculates. Inside conference room B, the blinds were open to the runway. The private jet sat in the distance, gleaming under morning light like a secret waiting to speak. Grant sat at the head of the table. Maya remained standing. That seat is reserved, she said. For who? He asked. For ownership. Grant laughed again, louder this time, performance laughter. Maya, please, you waived everything yesterday, you signed the papers. The divorce papers, Maya said, not corporate control. Sloane's fingers tightened around her phone. Calvin placed documents on the table. Ellison Crown Aviation is majority-owned by the Nathaniel Ellison Legacy Trust. Upon Mr. Ellison's death, controlling voting authority passed to Maya Ellison. Grant stared. Words entered his ears and refused to become meaning. No, he said. Yes, Calvin replied. No, Nathaniel would have told me. Maya finally sat at the head of the table. He did not trust you. That sentence hit harder than shouting. Sloane looked from Grant to Maya. This is some kind of trick. No trick, Maya said. Documentation. Justice doesn't always arrive dramatic. Sometimes it arrives stapled, signed, and notarized. Grant reached for the papers. His eyes moved quickly over the trust structure, the board authorization, the ownership records, the executive restrictions. Then he saw it. Maya Ellison, controlling trustee. His face drained. Sloane stood. Grant. He did not answer. Grant, she said again, softer now. Maya watched her. The mistress who had laughed yesterday was shrinking inside her designer blazer. Her red heels suddenly looked less like confidence and more like costume. Now, Maya said, we need to discuss your unauthorized aircraft usage. Grant snapped his head up. Unauthorized, I had approval. From who? The company. I am the company's controlling authority. Silence. Maya slid the flight manifests across the table. Miami, Los Angeles, Dallas, Nassau, Chicago. At Chicago, Sloane looked down. Very interesting. Maya noticed. Sloane whispered, I didn't know. Grant turned on her, be quiet. Not love, control. Difference. Maya opened the second folder. We also need to discuss confidential data shared with Victor Hale. Grant stood so fast his chair scraped backward. Careful. Andre moved closer to the wall. Maya did not move at all. Careful is what my father was, she said. Careless is what you became. Sloane's eyes widened. Victor. Maya looked directly at her. You know him. Sloane's mouth opened, then closed. Grant pointed at Maya. You are emotional, bitter. This is retaliation because I left you. No, Maya said. Retaliation would have been yesterday. This is governance. Calvin spoke next. Grant Whitmore, effective immediately, you are placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Your building access is suspended. Your company accounts are frozen. Ms. Beckett, you are also suspended pending review of consultant payments tied to Pinnacle Aero Group. Sloane grabbed the table. Payments? What payments? Grant would not look at her. And that was when Maya saw the first crack. Sloane had been cruel, proud, willing to humiliate another woman, but maybe she had not known the entire game. Pride turned into vulnerability. A dangerous transformation. Grant leaned close to Maya, lowering his voice. You don't know what you're doing. Maya looked at him, the way her father used to look at men who confused noise with power. You laughed when you signed the divorce papers, she said. You thought you were ending my life. Grant said nothing. Maya stood. You were only removing yourself from my protection. Security entered. Sloane stepped back, stunned. Grant's face twisted, not with shame but calculation. He was not sorry, not yet. As they escorted him out, he turned and looked at Maya through the glass wall. No apology. No fear. A promise. And Maya understood something then. Grant had lost his job, his access, and his illusion. But a desperate man with secrets does not walk away. He reaches for fire. Sloane Beckett did not cry when security escorted her out. Not in the lobby, not in the elevator, not even when Ava at reception avoided her eyes and pretended to answer a call. Sloane held her chin high because pride was the last expensive thing she had left. But inside her car, behind tinted windows, her hands began to shake. Payments. Consultant invoices. Pinnacle Aero Group. She opened her banking app and searched the name Maya had mentioned. At first, nothing. Then she remembered the side company Victor Hale's assistant had told her to use. Brightpath Media Solutions. A harmless name. A pretty lie. Sloane searched again. There it was, monthly deposits, 5,000, 7,000, 12,000 after the Chicago trip. Her stomach twisted. She had told herself Victor was simply impressed with her marketing eye. He said Grant was underappreciated, that Maya was cold, that Ellison Crown needed fresh leadership. He said Sloane could help Grant become the man he was meant to be. Help! That was the word manipulators used when they wanted someone to sell themselves cheaply. Sloane gripped the steering wheel and remembered the first time Victor approached her at a hotel lounge after an aviation conference. He wore a silver watch and spoke like every room belonged to him. You're smarter than your title, he had said. She believed him because she wanted to. Vanity is hunger wearing perfume. Her phone rang. Grant. She let it ring twice before answering. Did you know? Where are you? He snapped. Did you know those payments were from Victor? Silence. Not confusion. Calculation. Sloane's chest tightened. Grant. You need to calm down. I asked you a question. And I said, calm down. There it was, the voice he used when she stopped being decoration and became inconvenience. Was I a setup? She whispered. Grant exhaled sharply. Don't be dramatic. Was I? You wanted a better life, didn't you? Sloane went still. That answer was worse than yes. You used me. You used me too, Grant said. Don't act innocent. You loved walking into that lawyer's office. You loved laughing at her. Sloane flinched. Because he was right. Not completely, but enough. Guilt has a way of finding the exact chair in your heart and sitting down. I didn't know Maya owned the company, she said. Neither did I. But you knew about Victor. Grant lowered his voice. Listen carefully. Maya thinks she has control because of some papers, but papers can burn, people can change statements, board members can panic. Sloane stared through the windshield at the shining office tower she had walked into like a queen that morning. What are you going to do? What I should have done before Nathaniel died. Her blood chilled. What does that mean? Grant hung up. For a long moment, Sloane could not move. Then she did something she never imagined doing. She drove to Maya. Not the lake house, not Grant's penthouse, not Victor's hotel. Maya. By sunset, Maya was at Miss Loretta's porch on the west side of Atlanta, sitting in a wooden rocking chair while the older woman poured sweet tea into 2 glasses. Miss Loretta had known Nathaniel before the money, before the hangers, before men in suits said his last name with respect. She had watched Maya grow up running barefoot through summer grass, long before private jets and divorce papers entered the story. Baby, Miss Loretta said, you look like you carrying a house on your back. Maya gave a tired smile. Feels like a whole airport. That kind of weight don't get lighter by pretending it ain't heavy. Maya looked down at her father's watch. I thought I was ready. You were ready for business, not betrayal, difference. The porch went quiet. Crickets, passing cars, wind in the magnolia tree. Miss Loretta sat beside her. Your daddy ever tell you what power is? Responsibility. That's the polite answer. Miss Loretta sipped her tea. Power is finding out you can ruin somebody and choosing justice instead. Maya looked toward the street. A white Mercedes had stopped at the curb. Sloane stepped out. Andre, who had been standing near the gate, immediately straightened. Absolutely not. Maya stood. Sloane looked different without the office lights and sharp audience, still polished but frightened, not of losing Grant, not anymore. Of what she had helped unlock. I need to talk to you, Sloane said. Andre laughed once. You got nerve. I know. No, you don't. Yesterday you laughed in her face. Sloane's eyes lowered. I know. Maya studied her. Why are you here? Sloane reached into her purse slowly and pulled out her phone. Because Grant just said something about doing what he should have done before your father died. The porch changed. Miss Loretta stopped rocking. Andre's expression hardened. Maya walked down the steps. Say that again. Sloane played the recording. Grant's voice filled the humid evening air. Maya thinks she has control because of some papers, but papers can burn, people can change statements, board members can panic. Then the last line. What I should have done before Nathaniel died. No one spoke. Pain can be loud without making a sound. Maya took the phone carefully. Why record him? Sloane swallowed, because when I asked if he used me, he didn't deny it. Maya looked into her face, searching for performance. She found shame. Not purity, shame. Difference. You hurt me, Maya said. I know. You humiliated me. I know. You helped a man who tried to steal my father's company. Sloane's voice cracked. I didn't know it was that. But you knew it was wrong. Sloane closed her eyes. That was the truth. Neither woman could decorate. Yes, she whispered. Miss Loretta rose from the porch and came down slowly. Then say what you came to say, child, all of it. Sloane wiped her cheek quickly, angry at the tear. Victor has a private meeting tomorrow night at the old Meridian hangar. Grant is going. He told me to come, but I don't think he trusts me anymore. I heard Victor mention Nathaniel once. He said, dead men don't block deals. I thought he was just being cruel. Maya's breath caught. Andre cursed. Sloane continued, shaking now. There's more. Victor has someone inside Ellison Crown, someone higher than Grant. I don't know who, but Grant said if Maya pushes too hard, they'll make her look unstable like they did with Nathaniel. Maya went cold. Not afraid. Focused. Miss Loretta touched her arm. Baby, listen to me. Don't run into that hangar with grief driving. Maya nodded slowly. No drama, no reckless move. Evidence. Strategy. She handed the phone back to Sloane. Send that recording to Calvin, then give Andre every message, payment, invite, and name you have. Sloane nodded, and Grant. Maya looked toward the darkening sky. Grant thought desperation gave him courage. Victor thought secrets made him untouchable. Whoever sat inside her company thought legacy could be stolen through fear. They were wrong. Grant wants a fire, Maya said, so we'll give him a room full of cameras. The old Meridian hangar sat on the far edge of the airport, where the lights were dimmer and the cameras were older. At least that was what Victor Hale believed. He arrived at 9:12 p.m. in a black town car with tinted windows. His shoes touched the concrete like he was stepping onto land he had already purchased. 2 assistants followed him, carrying leather cases. Grant arrived 7 minutes later, no suit jacket, tie loosened, anger written across his face. Anger makes impatient people honest. Maya watched from a security room inside the active terminal, 2 buildings away. Beside her stood Calvin, Andre, Captain Brooks, and Uncle Reggie Ellison, her father's younger brother. Reggie had appeared that afternoon with a duffel bag, a flash drive, and eyes full of old grief. You look just like your daddy when you're trying not to break, he told Maya. She hugged him hard. Why didn't you tell me there was more? Because Nathaniel made me promise to wait until the snakes showed teeth. Now the snakes were on screen. Multiple camera angles showed the hangar interior, Victor near the center, Grant packing, a third man entering through the side door. Calvin leaned closer to the monitor, board member Samuel Price. Maya felt the name land. Samuel Price had kissed her forehead at her father's funeral. He had called Nathaniel his brother. He had stood beside Maya and said, "Anything you need, I'm here." Betrayal wears familiar voices. Reggie's jaw tightened. Sam been hungry since '98. Maya looked at him. Reggie nodded slowly. Your father beat him on the first airport service contract. Sam smiled in public and bled envy in private. On the screen, Victor opened one of the leather cases and removed documents. We need a board emergency motion, Victor said. Maya Ellison is emotionally compromised, recently divorced, unstable, acting out of personal revenge. Grant crossed his arms. I told you she'd move fast. Samuel Price adjusted his glasses. Fast is fine, reckless is better. If she suspends too many employees, we claim fiduciary concern. Victor smiled, and once the court appoints temporary oversight, Pinnacle offers rescue financing. Not a merger. A takeover. Maya's hands stayed at her sides, calm outside, storm inside. Andre whispered, they plan to use your pain as evidence. Not just her pain, Reggie said. He plugged the flash drive into a secure laptop. A scanned file appeared, Nathaniel Ellison's private notes. Reggie pointed to a line. Before your father died, Sam and Victor tried to force him into signing a medical competency review, claimed he was forgetting meetings, misplacing numbers, acting paranoid. Maya stared at the screen. They made him look unstable. They tried, Reggie said. Your father started collecting proof, then he died before the board hearing. No one said the darker thought aloud. They did not need to. In the hangar, Grant slammed a hand on a crate. I want my position guaranteed. Victor looked amused. You'll get a title. A real title. You'll get what you're useful enough to deserve. Grant froze. There it was. The same voice Grant had used on Sloane, control passing downward. Cruel people hate becoming someone else's tool. Samuel Price interrupted. What about the Beckett woman? Grant's face tightened. Sloane is handled. Victor laughed softly. No one emotional is handled. Behind Maya, the door opened. Sloane stepped into the security room, escorted by Ava from reception. Her face was pale, but she stood straight. Maya had not invited her there for comfort. She invited her for truth. On the monitor, Victor continued. If Beckett talks, we frame her as a jealous mistress. She seduced Grant, took payments, then panicked when exposed. Simple. Sloane gripped the back of a chair. Shame entered her eyes, then something stronger. Understanding. Some lessons arrive late, but they still arrive. Grant said nothing to defend her. Not one word. Maya looked at Sloane. Now you know. Sloane nodded once, tears gathering but not falling. I know. In the hangar, Samuel Price pulled out a smaller envelope. There's still the matter of Nathaniel's original trust amendment. If that document appears, Maya's control becomes harder to challenge. Victor waved a hand. It won't appear. Grant looked between them. What document? Samuel glared. The one you were too careless to find. Reggie's face changed. Maya saw it. Uncle Reggie. He opened the duffel bag and removed an old metal lockbox. Your father gave this to me the week before he passed, he said. I thought it was backup records, but I didn't have the second key. Maya looked down at her watch. The watch. Her father's old gold watch. With careful fingers, she turned it over and pressed the tiny release beneath the clasp. A narrow key slid free. For one moment, she could not breathe. Even after death, Nathaniel Ellison was still protecting her. Reggie opened the lockbox. Inside lay the original trust amendment, a sealed letter, and a small recorder. Calvin examined the documents quickly. This confirms Maya's control with added protective provisions. Samuel Price cannot vote on any matter involving Pinnacle due to conflict language. On the hangar monitor, Samuel was already preparing to betray her. But the law had been waiting for him. Justice doesn't always kick down a door. Sometimes it sits in a lockbox for the right daughter to open. Maya picked up the recorder and pressed play. Nathaniel's voice filled the room. If anything happens to me before the board hearing, investigate Samuel Price, Victor Hale, and anyone close to Grant Whitmore. I do not believe my death will be random if it comes suddenly. Sloane covered her mouth. Andre lowered his head. Maya closed her eyes, but only for a second. Grief could come later. Tonight was for truth. Calvin's phone buzzed. He read the message and nodded. Federal investigators are in position. Airport police too. We have audio, video, financial records, and the recording from Mr. Ellison. Maya looked back at the monitor. Grant was speaking now. Maya won't stop. She'll burn everything before she lets me win. Victor smiled. Then we make sure she has no matches. Maya stepped closer to the screen. They thought they were hunting her. They were wrong. She turned to Calvin. Open the hangar doors. Calvin tapped his phone. On screen, the massive hangar doors began to rise. Bright runway lights spilled across the concrete. Victor spun around. Samuel stumbled back. Grant's face went white. Then Maya walked in from the far entrance. flanked by Calvin, Reggie, Andre, and uniformed officers. Sloane followed behind them. Grant stared at her. Sloane. She looked at him with tears and disgust. No, she said, not anymore. Maya stopped 10 feet from Grant. No shouting. No shaking. No fear. Grant, she said, you wanted to know what I was going to do. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Maya lifted her father's watch. I listened. Behind Victor, officers moved in. And for the first time since the divorce papers were signed, Grant Whitmore looked like a man who understood the cost of laughing too soon. Grant Whitmore did not run. He looked like he wanted to, but pride nailed his shoes to the concrete. Victor Hale tried to speak first, because men like Victor believed language could buy time. This is a misunderstanding, Victor said. Maya looked at the officers beside him. No, it's documented. Calvin stepped forward with the folders. Financial transfers, unauthorized aircraft use, attempted corporate coercion, confidential data violations, and recorded conspiracy to interfere with trust governance. Victor's smile tightened. You have no idea who you're embarrassing. Maya's face did not change. I know exactly who you are. Then she turned to Samuel Price. That hurt more. Victor was an enemy. Samuel had pretended to be family. Mr. Price, Maya said, my father gave you loyalty. Samuel looked away. He gave you opportunity. Still nothing. And you repaid him by helping strangers question his mind before his death. Samuel's lips trembled. Your father left me behind. Reggie stepped forward, voice low. Nathaniel lifted you more times than you deserved. Samuel's shame twisted into anger. He always had to be the noble one, the wise one, the one everybody respected. Maya nodded slowly. There it was. Not business. Envy. Some betrayals wear suits, but underneath, they are still small and jealous. The officers escorted Samuel and Victor toward the waiting vehicles. Victor kept talking. Samuel stopped talking completely. Grant remained. He stared at Maya as if seeing her for the first time, not the quiet wife, not the woman in the plain dress, not the one he laughed at while signing divorce papers. The owner, the protector, the daughter of Nathaniel Ellison. Sloane stood several feet behind Maya, arms wrapped around herself. Grant looked at her. You did this. Sloane's voice was steady. No, you did. His face hardened, then softened, then broke into something Maya had never seen from him before. Desperation. He stepped toward her. Andre moved immediately, but Maya lifted one hand. Grant stopped. Maya, he said, voice shaking, listen, I made mistakes. No, Maya said, mistakes are wrong turns. You built a road. I was angry. You were greedy. I felt invisible beside your family. You were welcomed by my family. His eyes shined, but Maya did not trust the tears. Some people cry because they are sorry. Others cry because consequences finally learn their address. Grant looked toward the jet outside the hangar, its lights glowing in the night. I loved you, he whispered. Maya's chest tightened. Once that sentence would have moved her. Once she would have searched his face for the man she married. But betrayal is a teacher. It does not erase love. It teaches love where not to stand again. You loved what you thought I could make you look like, she said. Grant lowered his head. Then he did the unimaginable. He dropped to his knees. Right there on the hangar floor, in front of officers, executives, Sloane, Calvin, Reggie, and the cameras he never knew were watching. Please, he said. Don't let them take everything. I'll testify. I'll give you Victor. I'll give you Samuel. I'll tell them whatever you want. Maya looked down at the man who had laughed while divorcing her. No victory smile came. Only sadness. Because seeing someone become small is not healing. Justice is not the same as cruelty. You will tell the truth, Maya said, not whatever I want, the truth. Grant nodded quickly, yes, yes. And after that, you will live with what it costs. His face crumpled. That was the part he had not planned for. The next months did not move like a movie, no instant ending, no magical repair. Investigations took time, depositions took time, headlines came and went. Victor Hale's empire cracked under the weight of its own records. Samuel Price resigned before he was formally removed. Grant testified, but testimony did not wash him clean. Truth is not soap. Sloane testified too. She gave every message, every payment, every meeting detail. She lost her job. She lost the life she had tried so hard to perform, but for the first time in years, she stopped performing. One afternoon, she came to Miss Loretta's porch with no designer sunglasses, no sharp smile, no Grant. I don't expect forgiveness, she told Maya. Maya sat beside her, watching the street. Good, Maya said, expecting it ruins the point. Sloane nodded, tears in her eyes. I was cruel because I wanted to feel chosen. Maya looked at her then. That was not an excuse. But it was truth. Then learn to choose yourself without destroying another woman, Maya said. Sloane took that lesson and carried it. A year later, Ellison Crown Aviation opened the Nathaniel Ellison Flight Cooperative, training young black pilots, mechanics, dispatchers, and aviation entrepreneurs. Maya stood on the same tarmac where Grant once bragged about his usual ride. This time, children from Atlanta's schools toured the hangar. Students touched aircraft wings with wide eyes. Young women asked questions about engineering. Young men asked how to become pilots. Parents cried quietly near the back. The jet was no longer just a symbol of hidden wealth. It was a classroom, a promise, a door. Maya stepped to the microphone, wearing her father's watch. People often think legacy means what you keep, she said, but my father taught me legacy is what you protect, what you build, and what you pass on. Miss Loretta sat in the front row. Reggie stood beside Calvin. Andre smiled near the pilots. Sloane stood at the edge of the crowd, helping register students as a volunteer. Quietly, humbly, no cameras. Maya saw her. Sloane gave a small nod. Maya returned it. Not friendship. Not forgetting. A beginning. Later, after the ceremony, Maya walked alone to the jet. She placed one hand against the smooth white body and looked up at the evening sky. Grant had thought the divorce papers were the end. Victor had thought grief made her weak. Sloane had thought status made her powerful. They were all wrong. Silence had been strategy. Pain had been education. Revenge had become purpose. Maya smiled softly as the hangar lights came on behind her. Real money whispers. But legacy teaches the whole world how to listen.